I wanted to tell you about perennials. A lot of you already know all about perennials and how awesome they are in your yard because they bloom without having to be planted every year. And a lot of them will bloom all summer. And every year they come up, they get bigger and better. And they take less care, less water, less pruning. Everything that annuals do that's less with perennials, and they're so awesome. We've got just a few kinds here that we brought out to show you that are our favorites. This is bugleweed. It's a great shade ground cover, and it does get a flower on it, and it spreads. It's awesome. This is a primrose, and it's so pretty. It blooms all summer long, and it's so pretty. Here's a balloon flower. It has a real long bloom period. And look at this foxglove. Oh, it's gorgeous. It likes to be in the shade. So pretty. One thing to remember about perennials is that in the fall, well, not the fall yet, when they bloom, see like this bloom right here, when it starts to fade, it has a long ways to go yet. It has more to open, but when it starts to fade, clip it off and it will stimulate new blooms. Same with the balloon flower or this lupine here. This lupine, if you clip that off, might stimulate a new round of blooms and make it last even longer. This lupine can be in the shade too. This yarrow is gorgeous. We've got yarrow that has many different colors. It spreads. It's pretty tall. It's just so elegant. It will also spread by seed, so be sure you put it somewhere where you like it and you want it to stay. Dianthus comes in so many different kinds and heights. Look, we got two different kinds here. They generally bloom in the spring, but if they have a little bit of shade, they'll just keep going and keep going. These these white clips, they can be in a little bit of shade. They can be in the sun. They're an awesome perennial. They bloom all year. They're very low. Gaillardia is tougher than nails. It can stand some drought. It's so pretty. You can cut those and put them in the house in a vase. They bloom a long time. This fanfare Gaillardia is really interesting. Look at the way those petals are. That's a really fun, different kind of Gaillardia. Also very tough. Blooms all summer. These poppies are really a spring bloomer, but they're so cheerful and so pretty. And when they're done, see, all these are done. If we clip that off, could very well stimulate a whole new round of blooms. This salvia, it blooms all summer, and if you clip it off, it even helps it get more blooms. It's so pretty. You see it all over the place. Just a striking spike of blue. So pretty. This delphinium here will bloom all summer, and it likes a little bit of shade too. It does actually the best if it gets a little bit of shade. And this pincushion flower, same thing. They like just a little bit of shade sometime in the day. Now I'll tell you about in the fall. In the fall, for most perennials, they like to be cut off down at the bottom. You know, just the dead stuff sheared off. And sometimes you even might want to mulch them. And that helps them make it through the winter. One kind that you don't want to cut off, though, is a chrysanthemum. You know, mums have a big ball of flowers, and when they die back, they don't look the best. But if you cut that off, they're almost certain to winter kill. So if you can stand it, leave them there, and the rest of your perennials you can cut off. One thing you want to be careful of is these perennials that you buy here, this is their very first year for them. So you don't want to try to split them off or make more out of them, because you'll almost certainly kill them. They're just barely getting going. Next year you can split them, and you do it first thing in the spring. You carefully just slice off a piece of the clump with your shovel and plant it somewhere else. First thing in the spring, just before you see new growth, but after the ground has thawed. And that way you can multiply your perennials and have them all over your yard. One more thing to remember is not every perennial lives forever. Some of these perennials only have a life of 3 to 4 years. Some only 2 to 3 years. So be prepared for that. And just because your perennial dies, it doesn't mean that you did something wrong. It might mean it's just at the end of its lifespan. And come and get another one and keep your yard full of bloom all year long.